Yeah, monitor and output. It's just not. It's just not adding it. What is wrong with it? Wait, let me try this. Say something.
Ah,
Ah.
ah. Are the levels showing up?
Yes, your voice is showing up. How?
Oh, okay, we're good.
How does V sound? Okay, good, good.
I sounded a little loud, but I did go very loudly.
Is V hearable? How's her audio?
I just opened OBS on my own to try to like guide you through this, and now I have to close it.
Oh, thank you, Sentai. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Sentai. All right, let's go back to standby and start again.
Right, going back to standby and starting again. Be right back, folks. And there we go. Hi, everybody.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to. Actually, I'll let you talk.
Okay. Well,
it's your podcast.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Horsin Around. This will be a podcast centered around My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic. This is my wonderful co-host. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Riley, or V, I guess. I don't know if this is an official Virtual Hero V Ranger production or not. That's what I look like, but I haven't really considered that. I guess you can just call me V, because that's what most people know me. I'm a VTuber. I'm also I guess I would say long-term My Little Pony fan. I was there since, actually, this is how I wanted to introduce myself. I started watching My Little Pony around when Season 2 was airing, and I watched it on television, like live, until Season 5, I think, and then later I watched up until like Season 6, or like 7 or 8, and I have not seen every single episode of the show. I've seen most of the show, but I'm missing like 2 seasons, like late in production, and I also haven't seen all the movies.
Hi, I am Pearl or Cypress. You can call me either or. I started My Little Pony like way back in like 2011.
It was Season 1, isn't it?
That was season. That was the. I watched at the tail end of Season 1. It was like we didn't have cable. It was my parents had just bought the step above cable, and we got like the hub. I was like, oh, what's this? Oh, this is the channel that has the horse show on that everyone's going crazy about. And then I watched it and it changed the course of my life forever.
I think I started watching it during the gap between Season 1 and Season 2. Like all of Season 1 was out at the time, but I think I'm pretty sure that I watched all of Season 2 live.
Yeah, I did the same.
I must have. That must be it. I remember certain episodes of when we get to Season 2 later this year. I'll like remember certain episodes that I did watch live, or like very close to live. But I don't remember watching the Discord 2-parter live, actually, come to think of it.
I watched it live when people would fucking like live stream this shit on like on like art program websites, so they could.
I watched it live because I was at a boarding high school at the time when Season 2 was airing, and so I didn't have access to a television, but I would watch it on the YouTube links that Equestria Daily used to post.
Jesus Christ! Speaking of, yeah. So we are going to like. This is a retrospective. We're going to be talking about the episodes, and we're going to be talking about the culture at the time around the show.
Yes. The format that we've chosen to do this podcast is that Pearl and I have independently from each other watched the first 3 episodes of the show with very minimal like talk between the two of us as to like our note taking and like what we did watching the episodes, and then we're here to like compare notes and discuss the episodes in detail and talk about brony culture in general around that time, as much as either of us can be asked to remember exactly how that functioned. A straight decade, 15 years ago, actually.
This year, 2025, marks the 15th anniversary of the series.
Jesus Christ. I just opened Equestria Daily, by the way, because I'm still flabbergasted that it still is updating.
Hey, guess what? I have a bit at the end of the podcast where we will be looking at old Equestria Daily posts.
Yeah, great, awesome. Awesome. Yes,
Awesome.
this is an official 15th anniversary collaboration with Hasbro.
Yeah.
They asked us to. They actually asked us not to do this. They actually contacted us and said, "We can't actually stop you from doing this, but please don't do it." And we said no.
We said no. We're
it.
gonna do it.
The people want to see it.
Well, shall we begin?
Let's do it.
Um,
Again, this week we watched 3 episodes, which were, of course, the first 2-parter of season 1, which are both episodes are titled "Friendship is Magic," and season 1, episode 3, which was titled "The Ticket Master," I believe.
Yep.
Yes, which is a reference to the American scam company Ticketmaster.
That's the scam company Ticketmaster.
I guess we'll just start. We haven't discussed entirely how our format is going to be going here with this, because we just kind of are playing it how we feel like it should be played, and then we'll kind of figure it out from there.
It's our it's our podcast. We can do whatever you want.
Yeah. By the way, I don't know if maybe some of you don't know this, but this is not the first time Pearl and I have done a podcast. This is in fact the second.
It's the
time?
it's the third time we've done it, because we were both on Bottles' podcast together.
Oh yeah.
That short-lived one.
That didn't last very long. We were also on a D&D podcast back in the day that Pearl was the organizer of.
Yep.
That also died.
It died because we kind of lost interest after we completed the first campaign.
We did the first campaign to completion, and then really just life got in the way with those kinds of things. So we kind of ended up losing interest in that. Yeah. I also did I've also done a few podcasts myself. I used to do a podcast similar to this about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure that didn't make it past season 1, unfortunately. And I used to have a general all-purpose podcast. I don't really remember what the point of that podcast was. It was just kind of yabbering about crap.
Superhero Sunday counts as a podcast.
Superhero Sunday is essentially a podcast. We're also both live streamers, which is the logical conclusion of being a podcaster.
Yeah.
And this is technically a live stream, as a matter of fact. We thought about doing this as a pre-recorded bit, but decided that it would be more interesting to do it in a live format and then post the recording later.
Yep. Because I can just put funny objects on the screen and make you look at them.
I mean, we could have just posted a PNG of this background and just called this just made people look at this for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
These are all horrible objects, by the way. You know, we don't have a rarity on screen. Do you know that?
I will do
or Fluttershy, come to think of it.
I will do my best to find a cursed rarity in Fluttershy merch.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Anyway.
Anyway. The
episode 1, huh?
Episode 1, Friendship is Magic. It aired October 10th, 2010.
Jeez.
We begin with a storybook retelling of the origin story of the whole series, the whole premise. Where, if you don't know, go ahead.
No, actually, I don't have anything to say yet. Go on.
Okay. Where we learn that there are 2 princesses, Celestia and Luna, and one controls the day, Celestia, one controls the night, Luna. And
you know, they actually didn't name Luna in that episode.
Oh my god, you're right!
I don't think her name gets said until the end of episode 2. And Celestia's doesn't either, come to think of it. I mean, like, Twilight talks to and about Celestia, but I don't think... It's kind of... When I was watching that scene, it feels unclear to me for some reason if Twilight is smart enough to piece together the fact that, like, the goddess in the story is Celestia. There's a bit in like the beginning of that episode where she writes a letter to Celestia because she's used her huge Jimmy Neutron fucking size brain to figure out that the Mare and the Moon and Nightmare Moon are 2 versions of the same story, and both have a basis in reality, which means that Nightmare Moon will resurrect like tomorrow. And she writes a letter to Celestia like she's the only person who's ever figured this shit out.
Celestia,
Celestia
I'm
would
so
know.
smart. I'm so smart. Please tell me I'm a good girl.
Like Celestia would know. And then Celestia tells her, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Celestia tells her in her letter to stop reading books and go get a life, basically. And then later in episode 2, Twilight calls her out for this, and she's like, "You told me to like drop the matter," and she's like, "I didn't say that.
I have here in my notes.
Like you wrote it in the you put it in writing.
This
You
is
told me to knock it off."
This is a little later.
Don't-
This is a little later on, but I have it in my notes. Celestia literally bet Twilight could solve this issue.
She bet everybody's souls on Twilight Sparkle for like no reason.
Yeah.
I guess it's because she knew on some extent that Twilight was supposed to be the element of magic, but it was like the fact that Celestia waited until like 6 hours before this was going to happen to enact her plan to save all of like the entire universe.
So
It's so awesome.
they do not get into this later until like season fucking 8 and like midway into the comics. The Sun and Moon did not move until Celestia and Luna showed up.
Is that literally canon?
Yes.
So they was just like permanent day?
It took like every unicorn in like a city to move the fucking moon.
I do remember this.
Yes.
This is what people used to think that they did, and then they actually canonized that, which is probably another instance of late season stuff where they just started canonizing fanon stuff all the time. But that's we don't have time to get into that today.
We'll get into that later.
We'll get into that 8 seasons from now.
Like, okay, so Twilight finds out about the story. She sends Celestia the letter. Or we're also introduced to Twilight and Spike in this moment where Twilight hates other people. She only loves books.
I wrote in my notes here, the first note that I wrote, because this is the first scene, like after Twilight reads the story, and she runs to her house, or whatever exactly that building is that we never see again. And there's other characters who seem to be like maybe her classmates. We're not really exactly clear about what Twilight's doing at this time. Is she like a student, or I don't know?
I imagine. I think by this point she has officially graduated from magic school and is now Celestia is like full on pupil.
You say that, but later in the same scene or like in the next scene, Spike mentions that they're on a break, but doesn't quantify what they're on a break from.
She's still in college.
I don't know. They don't mention it, and then like she doesn't go to school after this because she moved to Ponyville. So I guess she just graduated early.
She was in college, and then
those other ponies. They name dropped Moon Dancer, and then none of them show up again until like season 6. Yeah. Because we forgot about them.
We forgot.
It's also Spike seems to know Moon Dancer well enough to have gotten her a gift in that scene because he like breaks it. But again, I'm not like it's just so unclear what's going on there. And also these 2 episodes, and again in episode 3, actually do not clarify what Spike and Twilight's like relationship is.
Everyone
like,
assumes
she doesn't even introduce Spike like to anybody.
Yeah, everyone assumes that Spike is her little brother. That's what the entire fandom assumed. And
that's where it ends up going. Like they, like later in the show, they more or less quantified that they treat each other like family. This is clarified more when like they actually show the flashback of like her raising Spike or whatever exactly happened with the egg. But like Spike is a weird character in general because I don't really know why he exists in the first place.
He exists to pull in 6-year-old boys who are the brothers of the little girls watching this show.
Yeah, that's probably it. He's such a fascinating little character to me because he's also like sometimes he says stuff that's misogynist, which is insane to me because he lives in a world that's entirely dominated by women.
He's
like,
8 years old. He's 8 years old.
Of the population is women. Like, it shouldn't even be like cultural misogyny. Where do you even learn that from?
There's misogyny in Dragon Society.
Listen, he's not from Dragon secret society. He's a pony. This is like the only plot thread that Spike ever gets, aside from his obsession with Rarity, is that he's a shitty dragon.
Yeah.
By dragon standards.
By dragon
and that's
standards.
That doesn't even come up to season 6.
Oh.
It takes 6-7 seasons for Spike to actually get anything to his character, other than being just the butt of jokes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I wrote a list of notable background pony appearances in this episode. Lyra is present in the Camelot scenes, which doesn't make sense and shouldn't be possible.
They explain later on that Lyra lives in Ponyville, but she works in Camelot.
She works in how far is Camelot?
We can deduce Camelot's at least a day away by train.
Well, they have flying guards. I noticed something in episode 3 too. Getting to this early, Camelot is surgically attached to the side of a mountain.
Yep, they built the fucking city on the side of a mountain.
First of all, why do they do that? Second of all, I don't think that's ever really brought up in any episodes that actually take place in Camelot. I don't think that's ever really mentioned at all.
Nope.
I forget about that all the time.
The city's just built into the side of a mountain.
It's just, why? How do you even get there normally?
There's a ground path on the mountain you can walk.
I feel like Pegasus built that, and then they didn't think about how other ponies are supposed to get there.
They're oh, oops, no one else. Oh yeah, I forgot. People can't fly. Other horses can't fly.
Yeah. Fucking Earth ponies. They haven't established those names yet either.
They haven't. I have a note here that says, "How did they figure out Spike's fire could be an instant delivery service? Why don't they use this for the rest of Equestria?" And then I put the male ponies unionized against it.
That's actually true. I mean, can other dragons do that, or is that just a Spike thing?
I
don't think I've ever seen another dragon do that. They go directly they go directly to Celestia. How does that work?
How could Spike breathe his fire on someone and they would teleport to Celestia?
Yes. No. Maybe.
Maybe
it only works on paper.
They never.
I don't think they never quantify how that works.
This is a plot point that exists just for the lesson stuff we get later on.
Yeah, it's just a contrivance. It's truly just a contrivance. It's why Spike exists at all. That's his contrivance for being.
That's his contrivance. After this scene, we have 2 Pegasus guards pulling a sleigh. I guess.
Yeah. Celestia rides on this later in the show, doesn't she?
Yeah. They're pulling a sleigh through the air towards Ponyville.
Yeah, right. Yeah. This is the first time we're introduced to that method of travel.
And they land at Ponyville. Twilight says, "The fate of Equestria doesn't rely on me making friends." And I say, "Girl, you're about to learn. Girl, you're about to learn."
Yeah, because Celestia told her to go make friends.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Girl, you should be at the club.
I wrote a note for the earlier scene where what I was talking about earlier, with Twilight thinks that Celestia hasn't figured out
yeah,
the Nightmare Moon thing. What I exact wrote is that I think this is a great early display of Twilight being blisteringly stupid and self-important. Which is Twilight's biggest character flaw, generally, is that she's blisteringly stupid about normal things.
It's because
she's just kind of dumb.
She believes she's the smartest horse in the room.
Even when she's in the room with Princess Celestia.
It's
not even an ego thing. She's just like that.
We do learn later on Twilight has a huge anxiety disorder about shit.
Yeah, they haven't quite gotten into that just yet. I don't think that really clicks until season 2, season 2 episode 3, when she has a full-blown mental breakdown. I don't think that part of her character really starts clicking yet, just until then.
We'll get to that in 6 months.
She has a full-blown mental breakdown in the Pinky Sense episode.
Yep.
Oh boy. Anyway.
Twilight's character flaw, anxiety disorder, and she has a she wants to be the smartest one in the room.
Mm-hmm. I also wrote that I'm not sure if Twilight is smart enough to make the connection that Nightmare Moon is Celestia's sister. I'm not sure if she actually figured that out for herself.
That was kind of hard to figure out because I guess it feels like Celestia kept this myth like hidden.
I want to talk about this later too, but it does seem like for some reason Celestia went out of her way to like mythologize what happened. It's to a point where like most ponies didn't believe in or even like know the myth of Nightmare Moon. Mm-hmm. Like it's like really obscure. Like Twilight had to really go digging for this information.
Like people wrote it down, but you have to go look for it.
Like, this is a real thing that happened like 1,000 years ago. Like the living god.
One of your deities disappeared.
Yeah, and everybody just forgot about it. I guess. So for of course 1,000 years, Luna's existence just was vanished from history entirely for some reason. Mm-hmm. Even though she's like one of the 2 living gods.
I wrote down
probably why she got bitter later. Not like evil bitter, but like season like 7 when she's like really bitter about Celestia.
She is still mad at her sister about shit.
That's a really not to get jump too far ahead. That's such a good episode where what's her name?
Starlight.
Starlight is like has her own little mental breakdown about Celestia and Luna having a fight because she's worried that she'll turn back into Nightmare Moon.
Yep. Oh, that's a funny. Anyway, that's such a funny episode. Can't wait to get to it.
That's a really, really good episode. It's a real standout episode in that season.
This is just a game theory, but it was probably to stop like Nightmare Moon cultists or some shit from popping up.
That would be insane. That's some fan fiction shit.
That's some fan fiction shit right there.
You're talking about straight fan fiction now.
That was my. Don't worry, I'll write that eventually.
There were Brony Luna cultists.
There were.
In the day. I don't know why we did that.
They were half expecting Luna to be like a reoccurring villain that would show up.
I would have settled for Luna being a recurring character. Yeah. Who show up more than like once every 6 years.
We'll mention this later, but she shows up one time in season 1. That's it.
No, in this episode.
Yep.
And then she shows up again once in season 2, and then she doesn't show up again for like 2 seasons.
Yep.
And then she doesn't show up again for like another 2 seasons.
Who cares?
She's a bum.
She's Eepy, okay?
I think that's why, I remember a lot of fanon interpretations of Luna because we had literally nothing to go off of. I think a lot of fan interpretations were that she was kind of a lazy bum.
A lot of fan interpretations made her nocturnal, lazy, and she loves video games.
Yeah, they made her a gamer. I'm not sure where that came from.
They made her a gamer.
I'm not really sure where that came from.
There was a popular Ask Luna blog on Tumblr.
Oh yeah, but why did they come up with that idea?
I don't know. They thought it was funny. I guess they wanted a goth gamer girl.
That was funny.
Go ahead.
Lots of fan interpretations of characters persist because one person on like Tumblr did a thing like one time and it just became like the absolute dominant norm across everything. You could not escape. There were certain interpretations of certain characters that were impossible to stray away from because of how prevalent they were back then.
This was the peak of Tumblr's popularity, coinciding with the peak of My Little Pony's upsurgence. Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, where are we with the plot?
The plot. We meet our first, well, technically our second of the main 6, Pinkie Pie, and then she yells and runs away.
That's a really classic bit. Honestly,
I wrote down Twi-Pie moment 0. It begins. I'll be counting.
I literally knew you were gonna say that. I thought about putting something in my notes about like Twi-Pie starting here.
Listen, it's my favorite.
I know that's yours. That's your big one.
Yeah.
Okay, mine is Rare Jack, by the way.
Yay!
That's my number 1. We'll see that when we get to the what's that episode called? The sleepover episode.
The sleepover episode.
That's the whole episode was just been dedicated to Rare Jack. I don't know why people can't see that truth. That's all
No,
been the ultimate shit the whole
I
time.
I understand. I'm sorry how the series ended for you.
I didn't watch the end of the show. Remember? I mean, I know what happened.
Yeah.
But I also wrote later, and it was skipping ahead a bit to episode 3. I did wrote in like a very flat tone that I forgot that Rarity's reasoning for going to the Grand Galpin Gala was to meet a man.
It's listen. We know our girl is bi. We know it.
Not after that. Not after the end of season 1.
Not after the end of season 1.
She swore off entirely after that shit.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Flutterdash fans, but this is a Rare Jack and Twi-Pi podcast.
I mean, Flutterdash that's fine with me. I guess. I never really cared about Flutterdash, to be honest.
I didn't either.
I think that I wrote an episode. I wrote in an episode later that where what do they call Rainbow Dash and Applejack ship? What do we call that?
It's just Apple Dash.
Dash? Oh, Apple Dash. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a scene where Apple Dash like moment 0 happens, but that's not something later.
We then proceed to meet our third of the main 6, where Twilight visits Applejack at Sweet Apple Acres. Keep in mind, this will be a reoccurring place we visit a lot.
This is a main set. In this episode, or in this part of the episode, we are introduced to an extended gag where Applejack like introduces Twilight to like every single member of her extended family. And we then have to later retcon that they were just visiting for that occasion.
Yep, they don't they don't live here.
They don't live here. I can't remember later in the show when they actually do that. I think Twilight brings it up at some point, like what happened to the rest of Applejack's family. She's like, oh, they're from other apple farms. They were just visiting for the Summer Sun celebration. Except for Big Mac, Granny Smith, and Apple Bloom, who is introduced in this episode, but I don't think speaks and isn't important yet.
She'll be important later, mid-season.
Later this season, yeah.
I wrote a note here, Ashley Ball hadn't quite settled into Applejack's voice being deeper.
Yeah, there's a couple. I wrote a note about that for Rainbow Dash. Her voice is a little bit higher in this episode than it is later in the season, like a little squeakier, maybe. Because they hadn't quite settled. Tara Strong also isn't used to yelling in Twilight's voice yet.
Not yet.
Which is like 40% of the character. There's a couple times where she like yells or raises her voice in these episodes, and it's not quite there yet. She'll get it later, but it's just like her speaking voice is fine, and it's pretty much what the character will sound like for the rest of time. The raising her voice isn't quite there just yet, but it's like literally episode. It's the pilot.
For those who don't know, Tara Strong voices Twilight Sparkle, Ashley Ball voices Applejack and Rainbow Dash.
Yes, and she does sing for Applejack, but not for Rainbow Dash, if I remember right.
I believe so. Yes.
Yes. Pinkie Pie, Rainbow Dash, and maybe and Rarity do not sing for the. No, wait.
Sometimes they sing. Sometimes they do their singing voice.
Tara Strong also doesn't sing for Twilight.
Yes.
There's lots of songs, if you don't know. I don't know who you are who's watching this podcast if you've never watched My Little Pony before.
Yeah.
There's lots of songs in this show. I think that'd be a great way. I hope going forward when we announce these streams ahead of time that you can watch the episodes along. I don't know if any of you went and watched the first 3 episodes of the show today before the podcast. I hope you'll go and watch them afterwards. But going forward, when we announce, like, we're recording the podcast this week, I hope you guys will take the time to watch the episodes ahead of time so that you can kind of, like, experience it along with us. I think that'd be nice. There's also a bit in this scene with the Applejack scene where I noted that they're starting to display some level of, like, body language for ponies. The animation in season 1 is pretty crap, generally speaking.
They didn't have a budget yet.
They didn't have a budget, and they were using Flash. But there's this bit and a couple other times later in this episode where when Twilight is like upset or defeated, she'll like swing her head down really low to the ground.
Really sad.
Yeah, which is sort of a general like body language thing for that kind of behavior or like that kind of feeling. It's something that'll stick with the characters for a while, but like more exaggerated body language isn't quite there yet because the show is literally being animated in Flash. There's also like a trillion animation errors in these episodes. I know because every single one of them has been documented.
Twilight is... She eats so much pie because Applejack is Southern and she has to make sure her guests are fed.
She's guilted into staying for lunch.
Twilight leaves and then encounters our next member of the main six, Rainbow Dash. And I wrote down, Rainbow Dash, stupid lesbian moment number 1.
I did. Yeah. Uh-huh.
And Rainbow Dash literally crashes into Twilight and then says, "Let me give you my rain blowjob."
She did say that.
She did say that.
I think that was a pretty early one for like terms of memes and stuff.
My rain blowjob, and then she blows all over Twilight.
And then she blows all over Twilight, yeah. This scene also establishes Rainbow Dash's... Every scene, except for Pinky, which hasn't actually had her scene yet, is meant to establish sort of like what you can... like just a general overview of the characters. Applejack is, you know, polite and family-oriented. Rainbow Dash is a dickhead. And also that she's both... it establishes her like long-term goal, which is joining the Wonderbolts. Because this is when they first mentioned that scene. It also establishes that she's very easily manipulated.
She is very... People can trick her to do whatever they want.
You can trick Rainbow Dash into doing whatever you want if you like put her pride on the line. Like it's not even. This is one of the only scenes where in a Twilight meeting the other main six characters, a lot of the time she's on the back hoof. I mean. In terms of like her presence in that social interaction, because she's usually like fucking flabbergasted that people are talking to her. But in Rainbow Dash, she recovers pretty fast and is able to like literally like manipulate her into doing what she wants by like implying that she can't do it. And Rainbow Dash is like, "Oh yeah," and then just does it.
That's because Twilight pegged her for a stupid lesbian moment 1.
That's fucking right.
And then we get our first meme of the series, 10 seconds flat.
Oh yeah, I forgot that was a meme. Yeah, that one didn't last as long because the other one, which one I'm not going to say out loud to avoid incurring demons coming into my house. Do they reference 10 seconds flat a lot? They do that every so often, right? She says something to that effect.
They
but that
say,
one didn't really
they
catch
say
on
every
as much
so
as the
often.
other one.
Yeah, the second one we get to later is so much more popular.
It's so much worse.
Twilight bids adieu to Rainbow after Rainbow clears the sky because that was what she was supposed to do. Then get
it's Rarity time.
It's Rarity. We meet.
Well,
darling.
It's Spike time actually.
We last night when Riley was watching the show, we just posted our notes about this exact moment at the same time.
Yeah, we both like DM'd each other at around the same time and wrote like a note. My note states exactly what I wrote word for word is, unfortunately, this is when Spike's obsession with Rarity is established.
I wrote, get used to this. This is Spike's entire character arc.
It is. This is Spike's entire bit. For those who don't know, Spike the baby dragon has romantic feelings for Rarity, who's a pony. That's not even the weird part, honestly. It's not even necessarily weird. They don't really play it weird. It's just obnoxious, and it gets really way more obnoxious later in the show. It's pretty tame here, but like it's just gonna keep. They do this bit so much that they actually had to write a plot line for them to drop the bit, and then they did it again later.
It gets weird later on in season 2 when Rarity purposefully abuses this.
Oh yeah, that's one of the worst episodes for Rarity.
Yeah.
She purposefully abuses the fact that Spike will do things for her to make him do things for her.
We'll talk about that later. Rarity...
Oh, that's really Oh, go ahead.
She loves fashion. That's it.
She loves fashion.
She's
a fashion designer.
That's her introduction scene. She is a fashion designer.
She's a young business owner.
She is. She owns her own shop in Ponyville.
Sweetie Belle is notably not introduced in this scene.
We don't meet Sweetie Belle till later.
We don't meet Sweetie Belle for a lot later. We did meet Apple Bloom very briefly. In the scene that Apple Bloom was introduced, it does show that she's a blank flank, but you're not given any indication of what the hell that means yet.
Yep.
not until like mid-season when those characters are actually firmly established. Scootaloo's also not present, of course, because she doesn't have a family or friends.
She is an orphan.
Is that canon? Did we canonize that later?
The canon is she is raised by her 2 aunts.
Like her gay aunts?
Yes. She is an orphan who is raised by her 2 aunts who adopted her.
Oh, okay. When is that established?
Like literally the final one of the final episodes in season 9.
Awesome! Why did they wait so long?
Don't worry about it.
Sweetie Belle and Apple Bloom both have a lot of very family-centric episodes with their sisters. Multiple, in fact.
And they just
like,
rub it in Scootaloo's face the whole time.
And the whole time, for years, people were like, who the hell is Scootaloo related to? Who is she? Like, where did she come from? Why does she, like, because her thing is that she's obsessed with Rainbow Dash.
Yes.
But they're not related at all. They're literally not related. And Applejack doesn't even, nope, wrong time. Rainbow Dash doesn't even care about her at all, because she's too self-obsessed. But like, where did Scootaloo? They took them 9 seasons to answer where the hell Scootaloo came from.
9 seasons.
Why did they do that?
To show that Scootaloo does in fact have a family.
Most of the time when you ask the question of why did they do this, especially if it's something established in season 1, it's because Lauren Faust didn't think about it. That's really the crux of most of those issues, is that they just didn't think about it. But they didn't care.
Who cared? This TV show sold a horse $1 billion.
Good time to note, by the way, that this episode was written by Lauren Faust herself.
Yes. Part
one
of
many season 1 episodes. Both episodes, part 1 and part 2, were written by Lauren Faust herself. I believe the scripts for these episodes were edited from her original pitch for the show.
She wrote and directed most of season 1.
Yes, she was very hands-on with season 1, and we'll talk about what happened between seasons.
Yep.
When we get to either the end of season 1 or the start of season 2.
Yep.
We'll talk about that at length, I'm sure. I believe some of you probably know this. This is not a great time to talk about this. We'll talk about it later when we're done with the episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But
we meet
Rarity is established pretty much just as being classy. I guess.
Even despite literally being born and raised in a small town with like 1,000 people in it.
And Applejack lives there. I think 1,000 is overselling it.
Well, what do you think? You think Ponyville's got like what, 800 people?
Like 500.
500? Yeah.
Maybe not even.
Yeah, probably.
I feel like pony population numbers probably aren't as high as like real world population numbers. There's probably like 200 people in Ponyville, and there's probably like a couple hundred people in like Camelot. It's probably not like a lot of ponies.
I mean, you say that, and then they got the big ass city, Manhattan. That's literally New York.
Like, Manhattan maybe is like the biggest population center in like Equestria.
Well,
but everything else is like Ponyville, like fucking that. Oh my god,
Appaloosa.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get out. And then I remembered we have to talk about the racism episode later.
There's multiple racism episodes in season 1.
There's some more.
Remember Zecora?
Oh, the Zecora! I don't want to talk about that. Lauren, what was up? Lauren, let's talk about that script. I really don't want to talk about the Zecora episode.
We will when we get there. That's literally next. That's literally next episode.
Fuck me, dude. Anyway,
we leave Rarity and we meet Fluttershy, who we learn is good with animals.
This scene also establishes that she's musically oriented. Which is like diegetically musically oriented, not just singing because the plot demands it. This doesn't come up with Fluttershy a lot, but it usually, when it does come up, it results in really good episodes for her. Like the quartet episode in like season 4?
Season 4.
Yeah, that was a really good one, and which is about her. Yeah, and it has that one. Don't worry about that part.
Don't worry about that.
Other than that, it was a really good episode.
We learn that she's good with animals, but because of her name, she is even more antisocial than Twilight.
fucking hilarious. There's also the bit I wrote a bit here that Fluttershy did not know dragons could talk, and seems to have been operating under the assumption that dragons were more like animals than they are people, which is weird.
I mean, again, small town girl living in a 200 population town.
Yeah. We won't find out so much later that there is a full-blown population. To be fair to her, like, the only other dragon that we meet doesn't talk.
Yeah.
Actually.
No, yeah, that's fair.
That's in, like, this season, and, like, there's, like, a full-size dragon that, like, doesn't talk, and is kind of like, what is up with that guy, actually? What was his problem?
We'll find out when we watch that episode.
Yeah, but, like, why did he act like that? But she's very fascinated with, like, we use this to show that she has an innate fascination with animals, which comes up with her a lot, of course, because that's her passion. But it's the way that it's introduced has her, like, treat Spike like an animal instead of a person for a while.
But the joke every
she learns that
time.
he's, like, until he learns that he can, like, talk and, like, think and stuff. And she's like, wow, that's crazy.
Wow, you can talk.
There's also a bit, they do like a jump cut in this bit where, like, she follows Twilight to her house to listen to Spike, like, tell his whole life story, but we don't get to hear it because they hadn't figured that out yet, I think.
Yeah,
All it starts with is that he was born, he came from an egg, and then it skips the whole rest of it is to, like, all of his life story, because we didn't write that stuff. We don't know what happened to Spike.
My little guy is 10 years old. He just learned how to read.
Oh, they did establish Spike is a baby.
Yes,
They did call him a baby dragon several times, and Twilight
baby.
babies him as a bit to try to get Fluttershy to leave him alone.
And then we get the Pinkie Pie introduction scene where she
Pinkie's
throws a
party,
surprise party for Twilight.
In her own house.
In her own house, which is a library, by the way.
Yeah, you know what? I made a note here that is like, I know this is Twilight's house, but the funny bit in this episode is after Twilight runs out on the party because she hates social activity, nobody leaves.
Nobody leaves because
She's partying in her house.
no one leaves. She can't tell them to leave.
It's not her house. It's a public institute. It's a fucking library.
Yeah.
Like, at this point, it's not actually her house. It's just a place that she has like, she's just sleeping there temporarily.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, this is These Ponies Drive Me to Drink scene where, while Pinkie is talking to her, Twilight turns around, ignores her, just starts pouring herself a drink.
We
With a really deadpan expression, because she's already tired of listening to Pinkie talk.
we learned that Pinkie is very excitable and will not stop talking unless you interrupt her.
And she likes parties.
And she loves parties. Also, I wrote down, first Derpy spotted in the background.
Oh yeah! This is, of course, the world famous... This literally changed the course of human history, as I'll have you know. If probably all of you may know this, Derpy, otherwise known as Ditzy Hooves, or whatever the hell her supposed canon name
Or
is,
Bubbles.
Muffins,
Bubbles.
Muffins, I don't give a shit. Derpy, we're just gonna call her Derpy because that's her name.
That's her fucking name.
That's her fucking name. Derpy's in this scene a lot, actually. If you look in the background in this scene, the camera angle changes like 10 times, and she's everywhere. I think there's a bit where she's standing in front of herself in the background.
Don't worry about it.
There's one cut in one of the scenes where her eyes are misaligned. For some, I don't even know how they did that.
And
I really don't understand.
That changed the course of the Brony fandom.
That changed the course of human history. Her eyes being misaligned in that scene is what made her stand out a little bit more than the other background ponies in that scene. It's what led people to call her Derpy, and she became such a fan favorite that she made legitimate appearances later in the show. She's had merchandise. She's been a mascot for the fandom for the whole time, pretty much. She's one of the most famous non-character characters in the whole world.
Like, she be escalated from a background horse to a full-on character.
Yeah, she'll be escalated from they're not randomly generated, but like not literally, but like all the background characters, and especially season 1, were basically just designs they just threw out there. You'll see the same ponies over and over again in crowd shots. They literally they weren't intended to have names. They weren't intended to be characters. They were just there to fill scenes out. Derpy getting that sort of breakout fandom love is what caused them to start treating background with a little bit more care going forward. Not till like season 2, really. But like it started to have like the animators and the staff treat background characters with more care. Eventually, characters like Lyra and Bonbon would get speaking lines and official names. I don't think that's what their names ended up actually being.
It did.
Did they have real names?
They are Lyra.
Some of them...
They are Lyra Heartstrings and Bonbon.
Right, Lyra Heartstrings is her name. Like Trixie Stardust or whatever. Like we're not gonna call her that. Lyra and Bonbon are also in this scene. I think this is the first. Oh no, Colgate was in that scene. Lyra and Bonbon are standing next to each other in a later scene, which is the first time that they stood next to each other, which is also a generational ship in the fandom, just because they were standing next to each other.
They were always beside each other in background shots.
Yeah, they were joined at the hip in many background shots in season 1, which is what caused the two of them to stand out, and eventually become a ship in their own right, which was maybe like, in terms of like background pony fandom ships, was maybe number 2 of all time, next to Final Scratch and Octavia.
Yep.
2 characters who never even interacted with each other at all.
They do in the background.
They do later,
episode.
but not until they became a popular fandom ship.
Yeah.
That was our reward. The first time that they interacted with each other was in episode 100, which was explicitly an episode meant to like reward fandom behavior, which was a bad idea.
That was certainly an episode. Well, yeah,
that was a bad idea. That was a bad episode and a bad idea. And it's something that they would deeply, deeply, deeply regret going.
They
forward.
would deeply regret everything later on.
If there's one thing that I want everybody to take away from the grander scheme of My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, and our retrospective, if you ever find yourself in the position of making a work that's extremely popular, don't listen to your fans.
Don't interact with your fans.
Don't interact with your fan. No, you can interact, but like, don't start doing what they want, or at least don't do it on the way that My Little Pony did, because it's not good for you. It's not good for your art. Yeah. It's not good for the product. It's not good for anybody, and it's just gonna make They didn't fly too close to the sun. They flew into the damn sun.
Yeah.
They flew through the fucking sun. Anyway, Derpy Hoops.
After the party, we go to the beginning of the summer sun celebration, which is the rising of the sun at the beginning of the summer solstice.
Yes.
They wait for God to arrive, and then I write down, God has abandoned us.
God didn't show up.
This immortal being that rules our land and brings us the sunlight, the warmth of the day has vanished.
And then Nightmare Moon shows up.
We are introduced to Nightmare Moon.
And she also seems confused that nobody knows who she is.
Like, Celestia literally didn't... She made sure her story was not told.
Just to piss her off.
Just to piss her off. And Nightmare Moon's goal is to make sure the nighttime lasts forever. Which...
Kind of based. Except for the crops dying and...
Yeah.
Vitamin C is probably going to be an issue. And...
It's...
Probably a couple other things. I don't know.
Probably a couple other things, Don't worry about it. Girl, the tides. Yeah.
Ah, fuck. Well, if the moon is always... Well, I guess the tides wouldn't... No, that would probably be bad. You know what? It would probably be bad.
Then we move on to Friendship's Magic Part 2, where...
Hold on, wait. I actually wanted 2 things about this scene.
Yes.
There's a continuity error in that scene. When Nightmare Moon shows up and they do a bunch of reaction shots of the ponies like being scared or whatever, there's a reaction shot of the Cutie Mark Crusaders all together huddling in fear. That should not have been in that episode. They shouldn't know each other.
They don't know each other yet.
Unless they just randomly were... I think the funnier explanation is they were just randomly standing next to each other, and just like happened to be standing next to each other while they were cowering in fear.
Yeah.
Just went their own separate ways and didn't talk to each other again.
They're not friends yet.
Yeah, they don't know each other at all. They've never met each other. Well, I guess is that exactly how it went? They did not know each other at all. You think that Apple Bloom and Sweetie Belle would at least know each other? No, they wouldn't, because their sisters fucking hate each other.
Yeah. I have this note. I have this another note. None of the main 6 are actually friends in season 1.
this is not really established until later. I actually wrote a note for episode 2 that this is kind of contradictory to how they act later in the season.
Yeah.
When episode 2 begins, Nightmare Moon like disappears and she cackles evilly or whatever.
She does blast some guys with lightning.
Oh yeah, she blasts a couple of royal guards with lightning. Twilight goes back to the library to try to keep working on finding stuff in the trying to find information about the Elements of Harmony, because the through line is that she knows of the Elements of Harmony and what they need, but she doesn't know anything about it because, again, Celestia has purposefully obfuscated all of this for some reason. Upon her return to the library, she's like, the other 5 of the main 6 burst in and start questioning her. It's really unclear from a character like motivation perspective why the fuck any of them other than like Rainbow Dash and Applejack would even show up here at all, because Fluttershy is a coward. Rarity is not really exactly a heroic person, and I don't know why Pinkie Pie would be here either. Like, Rainbow Dash came in to start yelling at her and like demanding answers, and Applejack would come because she's a responsible person. But it's not really clear why the others would come, or why any of them would agree to go to the Free Forest with her.
Like you said, they didn't think about it.
Yeah, they just weren't thinking about it. These episodes are just like, we need to get through this. We just need to establish the premise. It's really like quick and dirty writing in this regard. But like,
we find out about the elements. Go ahead.
Yeah, we'll later learn that none of these characters are particularly friends at all, other than like Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy are sort of friends.
They've known each other since they were kids.
Yeah, but Rainbow Dash is an asshole, so I don't know if they really consider each other friends.
Yeah.
They're more like lapsed friends, you know?
Yeah.
They know each other like personally, but I don't really think they hang out.
They find out the elements are in the Everfree Forest, which is a patch of land that horses cannot control.
Happens to be directly next to Ponyville.
Yep. And is filled to the brim with monsters.
Why is the Everfree like that? I don't know.
They never really ever actually explain it, like not even in the comics. It's just a patch of untamed land full of monsters for riding contrivances.
Yeah. Ponies instinctively fear it because their magic is unable to affect the goings-on within the forest. You know, they can't like their magic just doesn't work on like Earth Pony magic doesn't work on soil. Like the Pegasus can't move their clouds and stuff like that. So they just like instinctively avoid it because it's scary. But they have to go in there because it used to have the castle that Celestia Luna used to rule from, which implies that used to be the capital of Equestria?
Yes, the capital of Equestria used to be in Everfree.
What the hell happened?
I mean, their fight happened. Celestia and Luna's fight happened.
Is the implication that whatever Nightmare Moon and Celestia did, like, poisoned that part of the land?
That's fan fiction territory.
That's fan fiction. Because it's noted that the book specifically says it's where the present day Everfree Forest is, which implies the Everfree Forest wasn't there when the castle stood. But I don't know. I'm sure they explain it later, probably.
From here, we begin a series of hero's journey quests to get to the elements, the trials, to get to the elements.
A collection of scenes that is built to explain to you, the viewing audience, to justify to you, the viewing audience, why each of these 5 ponies inhabits various qualities of the elements. There's a... Except they don't even grant you the... They have no respect for their audience in this episode because, Twilight names 5 of the 6 elements.
Yes.
It's stated during when they found the book that the 6th element is lost time, which, again, is insane because the living god is in Cancerlot, and if you're a historian, you can just go talk to her. She's really lonely, and she would love to talk to you about it, I'm sure.
This is a characterization they give Celestia later on. She is lonely, and she wants to have a kid so bad.
Can't help her.
Which is why she took on Twilight as an apprentice.
It's so funny. That's not her characterization yet. In fact, Celestia doesn't really have a characterization yet at all. Other than that, from what I gather in this episode, she's really, manipulative for some reason.
A little bit.
Celestia, the living god, is very, very lonely and would love if you came to ask her questions and also if you stayed with her forever. So maybe everybody's scared of that, actually.
Yeah.
If I go to interview Celestia, she may entrap me in some sort of a marriage situation and I have to be the king of Equestria forever.
I thought no you want no well we'll get to that later. I thought you were into the bug girl.
Me?
You?
Me?
Anyway. I can't wait till season 2.
Oh boy, season 2 is really where this show gets great.
But
anyway, there's a scene in that scene where Twilight lists off the 5 elements of magic. The show has the audacity to have the other 5 stand in a line and the camera pan and make a sound effect over each one of them when she says their corresponding element. So they don't even give you the audience like the respect to try to have you figure it out on your own. They just tell you what they are ahead of time, and then they do the trials where they explain why they meet those standards, and then reiterate later in the episode why each one, like who each one is. And she even explains, like, there's even flashbacks later in the episode where Twilight's like, and because Applejack did this thing, she's the element of honesty.
They had to explain this to 5-year-olds.
But they already explained it later in the episode, so you at least give the 5-year-olds a chance, man.
Yeah.
At least give them a chance.
Applejack is honesty, Fluttershy is kindness, Pinkie Pie's laughter, Rainbow Dash is loyalty, I guess.
Controversial.
Rarity is generosity, also controversial. And then Twilight is magic.
Which is dumb. That's not a thing.
That's not...
Why didn't they just call it the element of friendship?
They could literally called it the element of friendship.
The elements of harmony are... Their placement is somewhat a controversy in terms of people... It's mostly if you are a person who thinks that Applejack sucks, or if you think that Rainbow Dash sucks, or if you think that Rarity sucks, as to whether or not you believe that they legitimately correspond with those elements. I don't think people cared about that after a certain point. Also, they destroy the elements of harmony.
They destroy them and they bring them back.
They bring them back again? The Tree of Harmony.
The Tree of Harmony. The Tree of Harmony,
yeah,
girl.
Well, whatever, man. Anyway, so they go into the Everfree Forest, and which one goes first? Applejack, right?
It's Applejack, then Fluttershy, then Pinkie Pie, then Rarity, and then finally Rainbow Dash.
Applejack's version of events is insane, where they fall off a cliff. Applejack catches Twilight, and she looks up and sees that the 2 Pegasi are standing by to catch Twilight. Instead of explaining that to Twilight,
so just say trust me. Just trust me. Where's the trust, Arthur? Where's the trust, Arthur?
She just tells her to let go and follow your death. And Twilight's like, what?
What do you mean?
Talking about? What do you mean?
Just pull me up!
She doesn't explain herself at all. And she's like, trust me. On God, it'll be okay. On my whole soul. Twilight doesn't. And then they catch her. And then she praises Applejack for that later.
The next one is Fluttershy, where they have to fight a fucking manticore.
This is the first magical creature that they show in the show,
and,
other than ponies.
And they show that, hey, did you know Lauren Faust worked on Powerpuff Girls? They just have the horses throw down with this monster.
Oh man, they were ready to fucking brawl. Like Rarity went first, which was crazy.
Which is what I made this as a joke post like a few months ago. Rarity knows martial arts.
She does. She's a self-sufficient woman. Has to be prepared for anything.
She is.
I would legitimately believe that Rarity as a character would know enough martial arts for self-defense.
Yeah.
Even though she's a unicorn, she can just vaporize your fucking eyeballs.
We do know she's not good with magic. She only knows how to use telekinesis and shit like that.
Yeah. Well, we had to make Rarity kind of mediocre at magic because Twilight is the magic one.
Yeah.
It's like how Fluttershy is mediocre at flying.
Yeah.
It's not her gimmick. Fluttershy does her animal thing, which more succinctly, shows you that she's an animal whisperer of some kind, which is basically her plot relevance in any serious episode. This is what her goal, this is what her role in the party is to calm various evil giant dastardly monsters or whatever, dragons.
She can talk to
such
them.
Things. She talks to them. She's an animal whisperer of some kind. And it's Pinkie Pie's turn.
It's the first song of the series.
The first song in the series, the laughter song.
It's okay.
Which
it's
was
fine.
Written by Lauren Faust herself.
Huh.
This is Daniel Ingram's first go at making music for the show, other than the theme song. Who will be pretty much the only guy making music for the show, actually.
I wrote the songs get better later on.
Hey, this isn't even anywhere close to the worst song.
It's not.
I like
it's fine.
this song. I think a lot of people have a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun memories of this song.
Mm-hmm.
It's very catchy and it comes right out of nowhere. There's no indication prior to this that there's going to be like singing and stuff in this show. Shannon Chan Kent is Pinkie's singing voice. She does a good job here. She sounds pretty in character in terms of like how Pinkie sounds in her speaking voice.
Yeah,
it's fast, it's catchy, it's clean. I like it a lot. It's diegetic. Pinkie's singing happened in reality in this instance. A lot of the time in this show, when characters sing, it's non-diegetic. When Pinkie sings, it's almost always diegetic. Pinkie,
we will come to learn, has the power of cartoon physics on her side.
Yeah.
Like more so than any other character in the show.
More so than any other character in the show. In season 2, the pet episode with Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy, they have a whole musical number in that episode. That's non-diegetic. They weren't actually singing, right?
Yeah.
But when Pinkie does it, it's almost always really happening because the other characters will usually comment on it because that's just how Pinkie is. Like probably like 80% of the songs in the show are just like for the audience's benefit, you know, like those kind of rules. When Pinkie does it, she's singing legitimately. It's awesome.
And you are forced to sing with her.
You're forced to sing with her. It's a good first song. It's better than the other two songs we'll talk about today by like a fucking country mile.
Yeah.
It comes, it goes, and you're like, wow, that was cute. Moving on. That's all like 600 remixes of this song.
Yep. Then we get to the world's first gay dragon.
Well, I wrote a note. Here's what my note said. Stephen Magnet, the gay stereotype sea serpent, is introduced here. I seriously forgot he exists. He genuinely never appears again. Moving on. That was my entire note about Stephen Magnet.
I wrote down
the name him in the episode. I think I don't even know why I know his name.
Oh, I wrote down this dragon's a fruit.
He's a gay stereotype. He even has the gay stereotype voice. It's so great.
Which is why he gets along with Rarity.
Rarity chops her tail off to fix his mustache.
His mustache.
And he never appears again.
Except in the fandom episode.
He's in the fandom episode and he's in a flashback in like season 9.
Don't worry about it.
Like they just reused footage. He never appears again as a legitimate like character or whatever.
Yep. Then we get to the final trial, Rainbow Dash.
The Shadow Bolts.
The Rainbow Dash trial where a bridge is out and they have to cross and they're like, oh wait, Rainbow Dash can fly.
And she goes to fix the other side of the bridge. And then she gets tempted into sin by the Shadow Bolts.
The Shadow Bolts,
which are like a black recolor of the Wonder Bolts. But she bravely resists temptation and saves her friends or whatever, which proves that she's loyal. I'm sure that they reused the Shadow Bolts in like an IDW comic at some point.
They do.
I'm positive they did.
They do. And now we are at the destroyed castle, and we get the elements, and we find they're just a bunch of rocks.
Classic.
And Nightmare Moon shows up, destroys the elements.
Yep.
And
fights with Twilight.
Fights with Twilight, and we have the first instance of Twilight seeing a spell happening and learning it instantly.
Yes. What, teleportation?
Yes.
Yes, this is the first time this is the first time her preference for teleportation magic is displayed, as it becomes pretty much her signature spell, in my opinion. She uses it again later this week, or later in this group of episodes, and it'll be her go-to It's like her go-to thing.
It's her favorite
like,
spell.
Twilight's
It's her
most
favorite
used
spell.
is teleportation. She's not very good at it yet. She looks dizzy after she uses it this first time. But she does get teleported by Nightmare Moon, and then just immediately learns how to use it, or already knew how to do it, and just decided that she'll do that. She baited Nightmare Moon charging her and teleported behind her.
She baited the DP.
Mm-hmm. And then the elements didn't work, and she died.
And then Twilight has a Jimmy Neutron brain blast.
she hears her friends coming to save her, and she has a neutron plane blast where she figures out that the sixth element is the element of magic, which again doesn't make sense. She figures out that because you need like a spark to get the element to work. She figures out that the spark is friendship, and then they turn into fucking Power Rangers.
And they blast Nightmare Moon with a big laser.
They rainbow blast Nightmare Moon. They make a big gay rainbow. Twilight's eyes glow like the Avatar.
My favorite thing. My favorite thing in this scene
rainbow
is that Applejack says, "I didn't believe that would work."
Ah, it's really good. Ah, it's really awesome. My favorite one is that Rarity's tail grew back.
Yeah, I guess.
They comment on it. They comment on it, dude. Like, Fluttershy's like, wow, your tail grew back. She's like, thank God.
Twilight has known these women for less than 24 hours.
Like, she's known them for like 20 minutes in her perspective. Like, honestly, it's crazy.
Yeah.
They're just good people.
They're just good people.
And Rainbow Dash. And
I wrote this note down. She's absolutely bullshitting this just so the laser works.
she's just faking it, man. They just happen to be in sync. That's all it actually needs. You just have to be like in sync to do it. It's like fusion.
Yeah. And then we meet season 1 design Princess Luna, which changes forever.
Why did they change her design? I thought it was cute.
Literally, Lauren Faust says it's because she's coming into her own power again. And then they...
No, she's not. Like, she wasn't raising the moon at the... Like, she didn't immediately restart.
This is the sake of fan theory now, where it's like...
No.
While Luna was on the moon, was she...
Everybody stop what you're doing.
Yeah.
Read Moonstruck.
Read Moonstruck.
All 900 pages of Moonstruck, and you'll understand why Luna looked like that.
Yeah, totally. Read famous Tumblr webcomic Moonstruck.
I love Moonstruck.
It's good.
Yeah, lots of fan interpretations of why Luna looked like that and looks different later. She also doesn't speak.
No, she speaks. She says, "I missed you, big sister."
Oh yeah,
that was Tabitha.
Not in the same voice that she uses later.
Yeah, that was Tabitha St. Germain doing a child's voice.
That was Tabitha St. Germain, who also does Rarity, who will do Nightmare Moon, and will do Luna later, and does a bunch of other voices too, because she's Tabitha St. Germain.
She's very talented.
She's very talented. Yeah, we knocked the evil right out of her. It's super unclear what exactly that did. It really doesn't matter. I happened to glance at like some fandom stuff about like what happened to Luna, and I realized that it was all really edgy. And I'm like, this is not anything, guys.
Well, they explain it in the comics.
Well, the comics aren't canon, motherfucker.
They're canon to me.
That's D-canon.
Canon to
that's C-tier shit at best.
It's canon to me.
We're not talking about we're not gonna get into Nightmare Rarity.
Slevin, I'm pretty sure Tabitha St. Germain does voice the most characters in the show.
Yes, I think she does, because she's Tabitha St. Germain. She can just do that. She also voiced like half the cast of oh god, what was that other show? The dog show that was airing around the same time.
Littlest Pet Shop.
Yeah, she also voiced a bunch of characters in Littlest Pet Shop.
Yep.
That show. Do you remember when people tried to kind of get that show to have like a Bernie thing going on?
They tried. They tried.
And we're like, this show isn't good.
They tried to do it because Tabitha St. Germain and Ashley Ball were on the cast.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it didn't. That had no indication of quality. They were just in the room because it's Hasbro. Like they were already in the room recording lines. So like, do you want to do more lines for more money?
Yeah, sure.
He's a dog. Bark, bark. Okay.
Bark, bark, bark.
Nightmare Moon. I sort of put something out for you before from Nightmare Moon. She pronounces the word fool as
Full,
foul, like
full,
foul,
full,
like a baby horse.
like a baby
Foal.
horse.
She says she does it twice. Just fool.
Because it's
It's
funny.
really funny. It's really good.
And then we have our first appearance of Celestia that isn't in the storybook.
Oh yeah, that's right. Swan Lestia, as a matter of fact.
Everyone bows but Twilight.
Well, because like to them that's the living god, but to her that's like her mom.
That's
you know.
But she has a mom.
Well, that mom, it's her other mom.
This is her other mom that is also a god.
She's known Celestia for a very long time at this point, since she was a child.
Yeah.
She does not bow to. I always got the feeling that Celestia didn't really like being bowed to.
Yeah.
But she isn't going to tell people not to do it because she's a living god.
Celestia is actually
doesn't-
very, very chill. It's just there's a lot
She's very
of
down to earth.
there's a lot of regalia around her.
Because she's a living god. She's like the Pope and the Queen and Jesus
Yeah.
all at the same time. Like, she's quite literally an immortal, like, god being who controls celestial bodies with her mind. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's just how it is. Celestia embraces Luna, and they reconcile, I suppose, more or less. We don't really get any reconciliation on screen because time's up for the episode.
Time's up.
Time's up for the episode.
That's it.
There's a frame where Celestia's legs are not rendered. That's why we call her Swan Lestia.
Yep. A single frame.
There's like a single frame where her legs are not rendered, and people caught it. It looked really good. People photoshopped her big ass neck on a fucking pool noodle or whatever. They have big ass long necks in this episode.
There's a lot of that.
They got long ass necks in this shit. Like, they were really stretching their necks back then, man.
Oh.
It's crazy.
And we get the set that
Celestia
Twilight
manipulates Twilight once again into
want
admitting
you-
that she wants to stay in Ponyville.
I want you to stay here and learn about friendship, Twilight.
She makes Twilight say it though. She's like, Twilight, aren't you happy to go back to your fucking lame ass shut-in life with no friends?
I know. I want
So
to.
it's like, actually, and she's like, I got him.
This is a reoccurring thing with Celestia. She loves problems. She loves causing problems.
She loves causing problems.
She knows that if Twilight stays in here, in Ponyville, there will be more problems.
She loves causing problems. That's why she didn't tell anybody about Nightmare Moon.
Yeah.
That's why she manipulated Twilight into coming to Ponyville. Again, I mentioned this earlier, but she does gaslight Twilight in this episode, in this part of the episode, where Twilight was like, Celestia was like, "Congratulations, my student. I have full faith in you. I knew you could do it." And she's like, "Bitch, you fucking told me to drop the matter." And she was like, "No, I told you to go make some friends."
No,
that's not what you said.
You told me to ignore it.
You told me to stop fucking researching it. It's so funny. It's so awesome. Celestia is such an insane manipulator for like no reason.
She's bored.
And later in this show, they'll characterize her as being like catty and like mischievous and stuff with Luna too. Her and Luna get really catty with each other.
She's
it's fucking hilarious.
She's funny. She's catty. She wants to be a mom so bad.
It's so funny, dude. But for now, she grants Twilight the ability to live in Ponyville. I don't think in this episode she actually quantifies that she wants those friendship reports. I don't think that's established until next episode.
No, she says it. She says it. She says, "Send me."
She says.
Send me reports.
Oh yeah, the friendship of magic or whatever she says. And that's it. That's the 2-part season premiere of My Little Pony Friendship's Magic.
Why don't we take a little break here and get some water?
Good idea. And we'll run into episode 3, which is not a good episode.
All right, chat. We will be right back.
Right back. Me when I didn't mute my microphone. Title St. Germain is credited for 72 characters in the show. Jesus. See, I didn't even know those stats. I was just assuming.
I'm back. I don't know if Riley's back yet.
I am back. I just got back.
Welcome back. Darkmoon Squid says, by the way, Tabitha St. Germain has credit for 72 characters in this show.
72. That checks to me.
Mm.
Like, we could have done whole episodes where just Tabitha St. Germain was talking to each other for like half an hour.
Well, we are now episode 3, The Ticketmaster. This is Go ahead.
No, this was written by Lauren Faust. So, it was written by Lauren Faust and Amy Keating-Rogers, who, of course, be a mainstay writer on the show. This episode was originally submitted by Lauren Faust with her like pitch for the show, as an 11-minute script, and boy, do you feel it!
They had.
Boy, does it feel! Amy Keating-Rogers did her best to assist in fleshing this episode out, dragging this episode out to a 22-minute runtime.
You can.
Holy shit! No, I don't want to be mean. We're gonna be critical here. I'm not gonna be able to help myself.
This is a retrospective. Say what you want, whatever you want.
This episode sucks. No. I'm not even gonna say that because this episode's that are way worse than this. But like, this episode is not great. Coming off of coming off as the first like regular episode of the show, it's not a great showcase for how good this show could be.
This is a setup for the season finale.
It is a setup for the season finale, yeah. Which will be referenced again later in a way better episode, Art of the Dress. Mm-hmm. Was that the name of the episode or the name of the song?
That's the name of the song, I believe.
Whatever that episode is called, who cares? This is another depiction of Sussy being sadistic. Sparkle.
So Celestia sends Twilight 2 tickets to the Grand Galloping Gala, which is the biggest event of the year at Canterlot. Twilight has 1 ticket for herself, and the premise of all her friends are fighting for the other ticket.
This is an insanely sadistic thing for Celestia to do, because she knows that Twilight has 5 friends.
She knows Twilight has an anxiety disorder.
She knows Twilight has an extreme anxiety disorder. And she knows that Twilight has 5 friends because she just met them all yesterday. There are the elements of harmony, like that means something. What did they do with the elements anyway? Did they brought them? Celestia took them back.
They showed them in season 2 that she took them. She took them.
You didn't even let them keep them. That's crazy. I don't trust you guys.
I don't trust you guys.
I don't know you guys. This is the episode where Spike's continuing bit in this episode is that he's misogynistic. About the ball being like girly or whatever.
Girly frou-frou. This is his exact words.
Yeah. But again, I find is just a really dumb, stupid bit because again, he lives in a world where like their god king is a woman, and like everyone he's ever known in his entire life is a woman. And like 90% of the population are women. Like everybody in a position of power is a woman. He lives in a female-dominated society. There's no way.
Which is...
Where did he learn to be misogynistic?
I don't know. Shining Armor.
No! Shining Armor is a feminist.
I don't know where he learned this. I don't know.
That man would get on the ground and bark if his wife told him to do it.
He would. I want to believe it's because he's just 8 years old. He's just 8 years old.
Like, where did he learn it? Like, who taught him this? It's just ingrained in dragons to be Oh my god, it is.
No.
It's like ingrained in dragons, like in a DNA level, to be misogynistic. Because all the other dragons are like really misogynistic to Spike because he was raised by ponies.
Oh my god. You're right.
It's like it's a species thing. Oh no.
So
Um.
we learned that Sweet Apple Acres, despite being like miles of land and the producer of food for Equestria, is poor, on the verge of being poor.
Even though they just catered for the Summer Sun celebration like last week, I think she was exaggerating.
Applejack wants the ticket so she can go to the gala and sell her food to a bunch of rich people.
I wrote here as a note, Applejack seems to think that she can just solicit business at a formal ball. That's not how that fucking works, right? You can't just set up food. You can't just set up a food stand at the fucking Met Gala. That's not how this fucking works.
She wants to.
Right?
She needs the money for grandma.
She doesn't need an admission ticket for that. She needs a vendor pass.
She needs the money for grandma's surgery.
Granny needs a new hip. It's literally the bit. It's her bit. Like, Granny needs a new hip, and she's gonna die.
Granny fell down the stairs.
Oh god. Applejack or Rainbow Dash.
Rainbow Dash shows up.
This is Apple Dash Ground Zero here to me. First in this scene, Applejack admonishes Rainbow Dash for being like, "I thought you were too fucking busy to help me pick apples, you lazy bitch. Where were you?" And she was like, "I was sleeping on your property in a tree."
Yeah.
And it like pans up to show like a blanket and a pillow on top of a tree branch.
This is another character trait of Rainbow Dash. She will sleep anywhere.
She loves sleeping. She's very lazy. She's a very lazy athlete. And then Rainbow Dash decides that she wants the ticket so that she can impress the Wonderbolts. Again, not really how that's supposed to go. You can't just unsolicit do like acrobatic performance at a Met Gala.
I would like to point out this is also Rainbow Dash lesbian moment 2. Only the only people in the crowd are women. Of her dream sequence.
Of her dream sequence is only women. And then her and Applejack start arm wrestling for it.
Two stupid butches trying to outbutch each other.
Hoof wrestling, I mean. They don't have arms, so
they're four legs.
I guess it would be hoof, 4-leg wrestling. I don't know what they call it. They start doing that and just like locking eyes. It's very Apple Dash Ground Zero type of a moment. And then Twilight breaks him up and then tells him like, "I have to think about it. I'll get back to you about it." And then she leaves and then they start doing it again.
Because they're two stupid butches who go, exactly.
They hate each other.
They hate each other.
This episode establishes that they know each other, but they don't have a weird relationship.
No one in the main 6 is friends in season 1.
Like they know each other enough to be on like a basis where Applejack would ask Rainbow Dash to help her with something.
Yeah.
But that Rainbow Dash is very unreliable when it comes to actually following through on those kinds of things.
Yeah. We meet.
They clearly have a history with each other, but like not a good one, I guess.
Yeah. Twilight's hungry, so she goes to get dinner or lunch. Meets Pinkie Pie, and we have Twilight Pie moment number 2. Where Pinkie tries to woo Twilight into giving her the ticket, and then Fluttershy.
It's a really shitty song.
Yeah, it's not her best work.
It's called Pinkie's Gala Fantasy Song, and the only thing that I wrote as a note for this, because I take notes for I have like a bar that's like song. The only note I know for the song is that it fucking sucks.
It's not the best.
Moving on. It's probably the worst song in season 1. I'm gonna be straight with you.
I don't like the CMC song later on.
There's a CMC song in season 1
where they're like pretending to be like Kiss at the talent show.
Oh, fuck! Oh, I forgot about. Okay, that's probably the worst song. That's so bad I forgot about it. Oh, that's not going to be a good one. Yeah. That's fine. You know what? That song is supposed to be bad, I think.
Yeah, that's the whole point. Fluttershy and Rarity knows the ticket, and they start fighting for it. Fluttershy wants to get it just so she can get into the castle's garden. Rarity wants it so she can meet Prince Blue Blood. She
does just vaguely sort of make up a man in her head, but it does end up that exact man does exist.
Yeah. Rarity's dream is to meet a prince,
marry a rich guy,
marry him, and become royalty.
That's so funny, actually. Nobody ever told her that Twilight is technically royalty?
Yeah. Well, she's not royalty
Well,
yet.
she might as well be.
She becomes royalty at the end of season 2.
Well, season 3.
Well, yeah. Well, season 2.
At the end of season 3.
Yeah. Well,
she gets her wings in season 3.
She becomes a god in season 3.
Right. Oh yeah, right.
She becomes a god in season 3. In season 2, she becomes royalty because Shining Armor mirrors Cadence.
Right. They're just dating right now or whatever. Actually, neither one of them exist.
They don't exist
right
yet.
Now. They don't exist at all. That was a really good. You have a brother you never told us about?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't ask you about your brother.
You didn't ask. I don't know what to say. Twilight doesn't. I really thought that was a really dumb like. Twilight had a brother that she's like, really like that she loves a lot. She loves her brother so much she would consider him to be her only friend before she like moved to Ponyville, and she never mentioned it to anybody. Yeah. That's just like her. She just doesn't know how to make like small talk.
She doesn't.
Or like so she doesn't know how to talk about herself. So she just never mentioned that she has a brother.
Again,
that's totally believable.
Complete antisocial woman.
She's completely antisocial. This episode introduces us to Angel Bunny for the first time. Fluttershy's
I hate him.
Evil-hearted little monster.
Literally an evil thing that the writers purposely write him as malicious.
An evil, malicious little bastard. Who is usually around Fluttershy most of her episodes and is there usually for comic relief of some kind.
Yeah.
The rest of their pets are not established yet and won't be for some time. Dash also uses the phrase in this episode, in the scene, goody four shoes.
Yeah.
Because they're horses. I just thought that was worth mentioning. Also, this episode establishes that Spike eats gemstones.
Yeah, we learned that dragons eat rocks.
But he can eat other food. He just prefers to eat gemstones.
Which
I think it's just. I think it's just gemstones.
I think this is the writers writing away. Okay, the dragons are not carnivorous. They will not eat horses.
Oh yeah. He eats hay fries in this episode. Not sure what that means. Actually,
horses can eat potatoes.
Well, they don't grow potatoes.
Yeah,
they grow apples.
They grow apples.
Do they even have carrots and shit? Like, do they even ever? Do you think that they were like that's too stereotypical?
We see carrots later on. Remember, there's a background horse who is the carrot horse.
Oh yeah, the carrot farmer guy. I forgot about him. Yeah. At this point in the episode where I mentioned. Sorry.
You're good.
When I mentioned in my notes that this episode was only supposed to be 11 minutes long.
You can tell.
This is about the point in the show where the episode starts really dragging. Because we've gone through one round of every character establishing what their motivation is, and then we go through like 2 rounds of every character trying to like manipulate Twilight into giving them the ticket.
It's
by doing her favors and stuff like that.
It goes against their characters established in the first few episodes. They do the exact opposite things of what they normally would do. Yeah,
they all act really, except for Rainbow Dash.
Except for Rainbow Dash.
Rainbow Dash is strikingly in character in this episode, actually. And to Fluttershy's credit, it's very clearly like depicted that Angel Bunny is like strong-arming her into doing it for some reason.
We get to Twi-Pie moment number 3, where Pinkie starts calling Twilight best pony and having a bunch of other horses throw her in the air.
Oh yeah, the ticket song.
The ticket song.
That song is pretty good. It's all right.
I like it.
It's fine. It's short and sweet. It's better than the other song.
Then we get a literal yakety sax moment.
Oh yeah, the yakety sax music, yeah. But which ends with Twilight using teleporting magic again, which singes Spike. It causes bodily harm to Spike for some reason.
She hasn't mastered it yet. She saw it and learned it. She hasn't mastered it yet.
Yeah, again, another instance where she hasn't quite got the spell down yet. She appears dazed after she does so, and Spike appears singed. And she also mentioned that she didn't do it consciously.
Like, yeah. Like,
Spike, this is the Spike, like, after they teleport, Spike was like, warn me if you're gonna do that. And she's I didn't try to do that.
They reveal this later on. Twilight's such a powerful spellcaster that she can warp reality.
Yeah.
And
she's some kind of, she's, and that's before she's a god.
That's before she's a god.
I think she got more powerful when she became a god. I think she was already on that level.
Yeah.
Like, she would have reached that level naturally. If she didn't, I'm thinking about, like, Season 4, it doesn't seem like they ever displayed any particular instance where Twilight's ability to use magic was increased, or, like, her powers, like, higher.
Well, it's like, the Season 4 finale Twilight is probably, like, as strong as she'll ever get, which is saying something.
She was doing Goku shit in that
She was doing Goku shit!
But, like, I feel like the implication was always that, like, Twilight could have reached that level of power naturally if she hadn't, like, shortcutted her. Not even that she shortcutted, but, like, even if she had never became an alicorn, she still would have been that powerful.
Like,
because there are other unicorns that we meet later who have extraordinarily strong magical ability.
Yeah, it's just Twilight's... Her talent being literal magic makes her stupidly strong.
I mean, it's like Starlight is almost that powerful, and she was only sort of cheating.
Yeah, she was sort of cheating. It's just... I mean, you know...
Starlight Glimmer, or Sunset Shimmer was also that powerful.
So Starlight Glimmer, Sunset Shimmer are Twilight's...
Man, I really...
Yeah.
Fucking hate those names.
Don't worry about
let's
it.
run back. Alright, let's use a beta version of Twilight's name. Let's do it again.
Let's do it again.
Twice.
It's just... we'll get this will be a discussion we'll have again. We'll have this discussion again later.
Yeah.
And then we have Twilight saying she cannot choose her friends and has her first breakdown.
Yeah, she does like throw herself on the floor and almost start crying, which it makes everybody realize that they're being insane and apologize. Except for Rainbow Dash.
Except Rainbow Dash!
I wrote here that this was a really funny joke where everybody apologizes for upsetting Twilight and relinquishes their request for the ticket, except for Rainbow Dash, who starts happily exclaiming that the ticket belongs to her, and she only backs off of this when the others glare at her about it.
Completely in character.
It's so fucking funny. And if nothing else, Rainbow Dash is really good in this episode.
Yeah. And then Twilight sends her lesson friendship learned of the day to Celestia. Seconds later. Go ahead.
What exact lesson did she learn here?
She learned that she can't pick and choose her friends.
Okay, I mean, that's a bullshit lesson.
And seconds later, Celestia says,
"Oh, my fault."
Yeah, seconds later, Celestia sends back, "Oh, hey, here's 4 more tickets."
What an asshole! Like, she had it prepped and ready to go, right?
Yeah.
Like, she was sitting on her throne room, just like waiting for the letter to come in. She didn't even read it. Just send it back up. Here you go.
Here you go.
And this one for Spike.
I know you have anxiety disorder. I'm sorry. Not really.
Can Celestia see her? Like, can she like see what they're doing?
I mean,
is she monitoring them? Like, could she do that?
Canterlot does overlook Ponyville.
Yeah, but is she like all seeing, all knowing? She's not.
She's not.
Like, can she use magic to watch Twilight fucking freak out?
Yeah. Wait, no, they do reveal later on that Celestia was watching Twilight while she was learning her lessons.
Fucking awesome. So good. So she literally was just doing that. Like, most of the time is you know, Twilight naturally learning lessons on her own, but this one Celestia like just fucked with her on purpose.
Yeah.
To teach her a lesson. And her lesson was nothing.
Her lesson was try not to pick your friends from if they're all want the same thing, I guess.
The lesson was just ask me if you have a problem.
Yeah.
I think the lesson that she actually tried to teach her was like try to logic out a solution to a problem that's not like picking and choosing one of these, you know? Like, you don't have to, you know what I'm saying? Like, the idea should have been like, I mean, this isn't what the friendship lesson was about, but like I think Celestia's lesson was intended to be like, hey, if you have like, I gave you 2 tickets and you have 5 friends, and instead of like the lesson that like you failed the lesson because you intended to try to only pick one of your friends to take with you, but you should have just asked for more tickets. You didn't even think to try to do that.
Her lesson probably was, okay, just talk to me. I am your mentor and your friend. Please just talk to me. Oh no.
This could have been fault. Yeah, her lesson was talk to people.
Yeah.
Her lesson was just come to me if you have a problem. You idiot.
No. No.
Oh boy.
Celestia does not keep in mind that Twilight is antisocial and has a disorder.
She just wanted to see what she just wanted to watch her squirm. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. She thinks it's funny.
Well, that's the first 3 episodes.
We did it.
We did it, yeah.
So now we get into just the freeform jazz part of the podcast.
Yeah, this is freeform jazz. Overall, those episodes were like not the best showing for this, like not the best foot forward, but like serviceable, right? At this point, I don't know how many adults, like how many people. I'm just saying adults because I mean, like we were teenagers. How many people outside of the demographic were watching like day one? I have
day
no
one.
idea.
I do not think this show exploded until winter wrap up.
I think Winter Wrap Up was definitely a turning point. And season 2 got a lot of people on board.
Yep.
Especially the Discord episodes got a lot of people on board. I know as much as we don't want to talk about this, I think 4chan is responsible for this all kind of happening in the first place.
4chan
the cartoon board of 4chan.
Incredibly pivotal for the show.
4chan is an evil, horrible place, but the cartoon board is where people originally started talking about the show, and it's where that information disseminated outwards that this show was something worth watching. I really still don't understand how we got to this point, even having lived through it at the time.
Yep.
Because I wasn't there on the ground, I still don't really understand how we got here in the first place. Just straight word of mouth, but I didn't even know why.
Literal word of mouth.
Cartoons were just in a shitty place back then, I guess.
I
don't mean to
guess.
diminish the fact that My Little Pony does legitimately have quality to it.
It does.
Because if it didn't, we wouldn't be doing this podcast, probably.
Yep.
But, like, I think as much quality as the show did have, or would have going forward, it did help that there was just not a lot else going on in the cartoon space back in this time. And it's 2010, like
2010 was the era where Cartoon Network was moving towards live action. So was Nickelodeon.
Oh God, was that when they had the CEO?
I believe so.
You know what I'm talking about. The guy who was pushing that stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
Cartoons. I'm looking like cartoons. Actually, I'm looking at like a list of cartoons of the 2010s. 2010 is also when Regular Show and Adventure Time started.
Yep. So
maybe it was not that there was a lack of quality, but it was that quality was going up across the board, and that's what drew people into wanting to watch other cartoons.
The early 2010s was crazy for cartoons.
Yeah.
So
lots of other great shows that were happening a couple of years later down the line. You know, 2011 was Gumball. 2013 Steven Universe started coming out, stuff like that. But like that 2010 era, I think that was sort of a time where cartoons were starting to get back on their feet in terms of things that people outside of the demographic of like 5-year-old children were actually willing to watch.
I have a bit of My Little Pony history, pre-production history, exactly.
Okay.
This show almost didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Lauren Faust approached Hasbro with a pitch for a cartoon called the Milky Way Galaxy Girls.
What?
And
as many people have done to Lauren Faust over the years, it was rejected.
it was unfortunately rejected. But Hasbro gave her a counter offer where, hey, we're starting to develop the next gen of My Little Pony. Do you think you could show run this? She actually said no at first.
I can see why she would, but she came back around because she actually likes My Little Pony, right?
Yes, she grew up with My Little Pony.
Mm-hmm. That's why the original version of Gen 4 had mostly Gen 1 ponies, so they had to change some of them because they couldn't get the rights back.
Yep.
Surprise and... Who else was it supposed to be?
I mean,
Someone else.
Someone
Surprise
else.
is the big one because that character who became Pinkie Pie was supposed to be a Pegasus.
Yeah. Let me get the actual concept art for Pinkie Pie on screen. There we go. There she is. Pinkie Pie was originally supposed to be a white Pegasus.
The white Pegasus named Surprise.
Yep.
Who was a Gen 1 pony. But again, the rights for Generation 1 are somewhat complicated. Because they're I think most of the rights of those characters in that sort of era of the show was owned by the original creator of the toys.
Mm-hmm.
And so characters who existed in other interpretations of My Little Pony, like Rarity, Rainbow Dash, etc., are able to be used because Hasbro firmly owns the rights of those eras of the show. But Gen 1 characters, like Gen 1 only characters like Surprise, are not applicable, unfortunately.
Unfortunately. And then from there, they just developed the setting and the new characters.
Mm-hmm.
What else I was gonna say? I think that's all I have on pre-production. I'm going through the pitch Bible right now, which I can share with you later.
Oh, yeah.
I have obtained from ethical sources, such as the Internet Archive, the actual show pitch Bible. Hasbro, don't sue me, please.
Hasbro, I think they legitimately released that.
They released an art book, not.
I think Lauren Faust herself released a show pitch Bible. Didn't she put that on DeviantArt a couple of years ago?
She was a DeviantArt head for a long time.
I mean, that's where she lives.
Yeah, pretty much.
Might still live there.
I'm pretty sure she still regularly uploads there.
Yeah. She's an OG.
That was the pre-production history. Now I have the Brony fandom history.
Oh boy. Question daily time.
I scoured back to the beginning days of Equestria Daily.
Oh boy.
Sethisto begins posting on his blog he dubs Equestria Daily January of 2011. 3 months.
January 19th. Several months before the show even aired?
No, several months after the show started.
Oh, it's right after the show aired, right? Right, 2011, right?
Yep. January of 2011. Let me just get this wonderful post on screen and even share it with you.
January 2011, I believe, would have been between seasons.
No, season 1 was still airing.
Oh, okay.
Alright, I sent you the link to this post.
Oh boy.
Sethisto wrote this post January 23rd, 2011. Do bronies want to be ponies?
Oh boy.
This thread right here, the thread linking to a dead 4chan post, is probably one of the more entertaining reads in this terrible 3-week pony drought. Drought is spelled wrong, by the way.
3-week pony drought.
Drought.
You motherfucker said drought.
Maybe my eyes have fooled me, but does it look like at least half the thread will be perfectly fine with throwing everything away and becoming a pony, and the majority of them want to be female. ... There is nothing wrong with that, of course, to each his own. Some people also use Equestria as an escape from real life. It's still a little bit strange that so many want to sex change to go with it. But I suppose it could be worse. At least the primary reason for the change is to hook up with Rainbow Dash. That's totally fine, IMO.
And finger on the pulse. I'm sure, by the way, that Sethisto is a fine guy. And we're not going to hold anything that he said against him 15 years ago.
We're not. He says some slurs in some of these posts, but who cares?
It was 2011.
It was
we're not
2011.
Gonna hold it against him. Not going to hold it against him in 2011.
Not going to hold it against him.
I'm sure that Sethisto is a fine, upstanding person, mostly given the fact that when you become a long-term brony, the only choices you have are to be a decent person or to be a Nazi.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that Sethisto is not a Nazi, so
he still regularly posts on Equestria Daily.
He sure does. He did call that shot 15 years ago.
Yeah. He called the shot 15 years ago that people will become furries and will become women from this show.
Transgender furries are invading real life
because of My Little Pony. Oh, the other bit. Oh, go ahead. Did you want to say something?
Oh no, I'm just looking at the comments here. Here's a comment from an anonymous May of 2011.
Okay.
I'm a grown man who likes the show. My enjoyment comes more from the conspicuous lack of cynicism or other heavy-handed dark elements that infect so much entertainment these days. The watchword of the show is simplicity, but this theme is executed gracefully. Character development, animation, scene layout, it's all done very professionally, and the result is a series of animations I can't help but enjoy. I feel like that was very much a resounding sentiment at the time.
Mm-hmm.
My Little Pony was very colorful and simple and relatively positive. Not relative, very positive, really. In that era, I think, people were yearning for that earnestness in the post-cynical, the cynical 2010s. The 2010s were, this guy's not totally wrong, we're a relatively cynical time for media, especially American media.
Mm-hmm.
I think that a large amount of people who were, this guy says that he's a grown man. He's probably 19.
He's probably 18 or 19 at the time posting this.
He's probably 22, right? A lot of that was happening around that time. People kind of rejecting that sort of grittiness or that sort of cynicism in media around that time. That's part of also the reason that shows like Adventure Time took off. Steam Universe later down the line would sort of center in on that same sort of demographic, which is again why those two shows ended up having such large, adult or outside of demographic audiences, because people were really tuning in on that sort of optimism that those shows were, or just the fun, just the fact that those shows were relatively simple and fun. The shows didn't really have the brony fandom, though.
The brony fandom will emerge in 2011 and 2012.
Yes, it's in its really early days, around when this post was made. But
yep,
it's here. It's brewing.
Go ahead.
No, that's all I have to say, actually.
My last bit of horse lore for this episode, at least, is the first wave of toys.
With the McDonald's stuff?
Yes, you're exactly right.
Wow.
The very first wave of toys for My Little Pony Friendship's Magic were McDonald's toys.
You want to put that image on screen?
Yes, I did.
There it is. Here's a fun fact. Obviously you've got the main six here. And fucking Cheerilee, for some reason...
Cheerilee and Pink Celestia. Okay,
there's a reason for this. Pink Celestia... Okay, so... Cheerilee, who is the teacher, she's a teacher character. She'll be in episodes later in the season. She's not necessarily a main cast member by any means. I wouldn't even really say she's a reoccurring character. Or like an occasional guest. if anything. She's more like a side character in the Kingdom Crusader stuff.
She is there to give Nicole Oliver another character to voice.
Yeah, exactly. But Pink Celestia, all of Celestia's toys in the first wave were pink, like this pink, very pink. You may not know this. Celestia is not white. Do you know this?
I've heard of this. Yes,
she's pink. She is pink. If you hex code her, she's a very, very, very light shade of pink.
She is not
very, very, very light shade of pink.
She is not pure white.
She's not pure white. There's only one pony in the show that's pure white, and it's not even Rarity. I can't remember who it is. And maybe it's Rarity. I think Rarity is a very light shade of blue, though.
Mm-hmm.
There's somebody else. And I think that's Sweetie Belle. I don't know. There's like one character in the show. There's like one horse in the show who's legitimately white. But Celestia is not it. She's not white pony. She's technically pink. The pinkness, either. Sorry.
You're fine.
Greatly Star Podcast. Her hair is also wrong. I'm not sure what's up with that. I don't think the hair is wrong. I think it's just they just simplified the rainbow mane a lot because it's like a 2-inch McDonald's toy.
It's a shitty McDonald's toy.
Yeah. Celestia's merchandise in the early days was very pink because either a beta version of her design was pinker or they just color hexed it wrong or something.
I think that's legitimately what happened.
Wave 2 versions of her shit will be corrected entirely. They pretty much had to make that change because if they didn't, she would be too hard to distinguish away from Cadence.
Mm-hmm.
But I used to have a Celestia that was pink.
The fandom took this as, oh, Celestia was pink when she was younger.
Did we?
Yes.
I don't remember that. You know what? I'll accept that. That's not true at all, but I'll accept that. She turned white as she got older. What are you talking about?
I don't know, just because she got the stress got to her. The Mickey D's toys came out January of 2011.
Mm-hmm. They're about 2 months into the show's run, so that would be
around episode 10-ish.
About half. Yeah, around halfway, a little maybe under halfway into the season. Enough time for the show to, like, in terms of a marketing thing, enough time for the show to be on air for long enough that kids would stop watching it and then would actually want Happy Meal toys of the show. Because before this, I mean, My Little Pony been dead for like a long time.
About 5 years?
About 5 years or so. 4 or 5.
Gen 3 and 3.5 was like 2004, 2006.
It was like 2004, 2007 or something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that. It had been gone for most of the late 2000s into the 2010s, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know when Hasbro approached Lauren Foss to show run the show. I genuinely don't know. That's lost to time. Wait, I could maybe look at the pitch Bible and see if there's like a copyright date, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Let's see.
I want to note that this is going to be a major factor of brony culture, especially in the first year or two. Embarrassment.
Yeah.
There was a prevailing sense that we were all a little embarrassed to be grown adults or young boys, as it would be in our case, who were into My Little Pony, because that sounds really lame. There's no other way to really say that. It's kind of lame. It's super lame. There's a bit in this Equestria Daily post where
I think I have a post for the toys exactly. Let me see if I can find it for you.
I have the post up in front of me. Thisto goes through a list of suggestions that he has for trying to get these My Little Pony McDonald's toys without looking like a weirdo.
Yeah.
While avoiding embarrassment is what he actually says.
Yeah.
And this ranges from have a female friend buy them for you.
Pose as a collector.
Pose as a collector is really funny.
Go in looking like a hipster.
Go in looking like a hipster. Go in with a group of like-minded individuals and act like you're buying them as a joke. It's eBay. Go on eBay and pay more money for them than you should. I like that this post was written by. It's like literally, it's recommended that you visit McDonald's during a time where they will most likely be empty, early morning or late night.
Make sure no one sees you buy this children's toy.
It's so fun. Like, I get it because I lived that shit too, obviously, but like, yeah, it is embarrassing. It is embarrassing. It's super embarrassing. What if I, a person who's definitely not a girl, buy a girl thing? Well, I got news for you, buddy.
News for you, buddo.
Hey, buddy, guess what? You are a girl.
Me putting my hand on my 16-year-old self.
You are a girl. You are a girl. Do you know what's funny for me is I really did make it through the entirety of My Little Pony before I found that out. The entirety of when I watched My Little Pony, anyway.
I was in B around My Little Pony. I did not find out I was a girl until late. Like, yeah.
It was more or less the same for me. Pretty sure that did it.
Mm-hmm.
Fake female relative is not on there. You could try dressing like a girl and going in there.
You could try dressing like a girl.
2011 and telling like 18-year-old boys to try dressing like a girl and going to McDonald's.
The Force Femme revolution is now.
Try dressing like a girl. They won't know it's you because you look like a girl, and for no other particular reason, you can buy My Little Pony toys and not have to feel shame because it'll be like you're a girl.
That's gonna be the episode title. Try dressing like a girl.
Dressing like a girl. It's this prevalent feeling of deep-seated shame would follow many people a lot of the time. This deep-seated sense of shame eventually turned into a more outward sense of pride. I think to some eventually, like once bronyism and like bronies started kind of breaching. I wouldn't really say that actually they did breach the mainstream. That's literally true.
It breached the mainstream.
Once it breached, not just before it breached the mainstream, before it started breaching like mainstream internet, you know, like it started becoming something that like other people were seeing who were not in those insular communities. It started being less insular of a community. That shame kind of ended up turning into pride for people. Like they started taking pride in the fact that they're like, you know, grown adult men watching a show for little girls or whatever. Because it was either that or just like submit to getting bullied on the internet.
Yeah.
And so you had to kind of own it. It had a lot of people kind of owning it. Like either you got too embarrassed or you just kept it to yourself or you just stood up and owned it. Yeah, I like My Little Pony. It's cool. It's awesome. I think a lot of people doing that is what helped other people get into it in the first place. It's like, you know, you would like your friend with this happened to me. He's like, my friend's like, dude, you know, My Little Pony. I'm like, what are you fucking talking about, dude? Like,
what are you talking
that's
about,
like
man?
for little girls and shit. Like, I'm not watching that shit. And he's like, no, dude, it's legitimately good. Like, try it out.
And then you watched it and you're like, oh yeah, I get it.
Oh yeah, I get it. Yeah. And it's not just because I'm like an impressionable like 14-year-old.
Yeah.
Like, it's either that or like it would have died. Like, when people come at you, be like, "That's stupid." You either have to be like, "Yeah, it's stupid, my fault," and like back off, or you have to be like, "No, dude, I'm putting my fucking flag in the ground on this one. You gotta check it out.
You gotta check it out,
it's
man.
Real shit. You gotta check it out, dude." Like, and then, but then also for some people that became resentment.
Yeah.
Either towards other bronies or non-bronies. Some people became really resentful of normies in that era, and those people probably became Nazis. To be honest with you,
yeah, there was a lot of prevalent shitheadedness in the fandom.
It's not. I mean, yes, if quite famously, there was a lot of prevalent shitheadedness, and I'm of the opinion truly that I don't think that there was any more shitheadedness in My Little Pony and the Brony fandom than there was in any other fandom at the time or
totally.
since. Maybe more, maybe like by volume more, because it was primarily a fandom made of men aged 60 to 20 or like 25, as compared to like, I don't know, Super Hulak, which is probably primarily composed of teenage girls.
Racist teenage girls.
But like racist teenage girls, like they had their own problems to deal with, right? My Little Pony and the Brony fandom did, like I said, eventually breach like into mainstream media. They were legitimately like mainstream news sources reporting on it, and like BronyCon and like all that shit.
God,
like
BronyCon.
everybody knew about My Little Pony for a while. Like it was like the main character of the internet for what, 2 years
like,
there, probably
about from 2012 to 2014, probably.
Yeah, about 2 years, My Little Pony was the main character of the internet, and everybody had an opinion on My Little Pony. You either hated it because you didn't watch the show and you were tired of seeing bronies everywhere, or you were a brony. There was very much like an us and them mentality for a lot of that, which again probably didn't help people develop into being racist. Eventually, but like, you know. And there was also like, and then there was also intersection with furries, and if there's any fandom that has a problem with fascists, it's them.
Maybe.
If there's any fandom that has a real fascism issue, it's fucking furries. But we're not here to talk about that.
Don't worry, we killed them with hammers.
Yeah, don't worry about that. We're not here to talk about that. There was a weird relationship between furries and bronies, where a lot of
bronies did not want to admit they were furries.
A lot of bronies did not want to associate with furries because it's 2012, and furries' reputation wasn't, being a furry, your reputation was not so hot back then. And it was kind of like, I feel like a lot of people thought they could punch down on furries because at least I'm a brony, but at least I'm not a furry. You know, I don't want to fuck wolves.
I have a pony Sona, and I'm attracted to these horses. I'm not a furry.
I'm not a furry though, because I don't like anthropomorphic wolves. You are. You are. You like ponies. They're not even anthropomorphic. That's worse. I'm not here to throw stones because my house was made of glass too, but I'm just like that. But that was the sentiment. Like there was a real divide between furries and bronies.
There was.
When the brony fandom started collapsing in like 2014-15, a lot of people jumped ship and just admitted they were furries and were just accepted into the furry fandom.
Yep.
For the most part, like lots and lots of prominent My Little Pony artists. Do you remember, like, this is like way later in the timeline, but do you remember, like, there was like definitive point where people, like, there was like a mass exodus of bronies, like around season 5.
2015, 2016.
It was a mass exodus because at that point, fandom reputation was at an all-time low, and it became legitimately embarrassing to admit that you were a brony. Like, we got back to it wasn't even embarrassing, it was just, like, problematic at that point to admit that you're a brony, because the bad actors that dragged the name of the fandom through the mud so fucking hard at that point that it was legitimately like a red flag if you told people that you were into My Little Pony, or if you at that point most people were willing to accept that it's okay to watch My Little Pony, but referring to yourself as a brony was kind of a red flag at that point. A lot of artists ended up jumping ship so hard they would like delete all of their My Little Pony art. Do you remember this? Like, archive, like years and years of art blown up, completely gone forever. Maybe it exists on some Buru somewhere.
Derpy Buru.
Oh yeah, Jesus, Derpy Buru. Does that still exist?
It does. Scared. I've been scrolling through it.
Fuck. People are still uploading, huh? That's.
It's all
blackjack.
Derpy Buru is either phenomenal art, OC art, or fetish art.
Yes, sir. Oh, tag hidden.
Yep, okay. Tag hidden. Yep. Did you click on it?
Uh huh.
Oh yeah, girl.
Cool. How the fuck are people still posting blackjack in 2025?
Oh, you know.
is that like? I didn't know people was still fucking with Project Horizons like that, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Anyway,
yeah.
Yeah, people just abandoned ship so hard they just nuked their accounts and just like went into fucking witness protection and started over drawing wolves and furry stuff. Lots of people did this.
It's a point of contention in the fandom about how much that there was that mass exodus.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to that point eventually.
Yeah,
but
we'll
it was
get there
like
when it kind of happens in real time.
We'll get that to that in real time because the people who exodized themselves say, "Damn, the show really fell off when Lauren Foss left. She leaves at the end of season 1."
Which is, it's so. I get why people said that sentimentally because I feel like that was around the time when people learned what ended up happening behind the scenes between Lauren Faust and Hasbro, which again we will get into in real time later and down the line. But I think people were just, for lack of a better way to say this, they were virtue signaling about leaving the fucking Brony fandom. They were virtue signaling about leaving the Brony fandom for some reason. Lauren Faust was excised from the program between season 1 and season 2. She contributed almost nothing to season 2.
She was
not by her own volition. She contributed some scripts and general outline. Technically, she contributed general outlines in stories for season 1 or season 2 and season 3, but she did not write the actual scripts or direct the episodes or storyboarding or any of that shit.
Her title for season 2 and season 3 was creative producer,
which was a bullshit title that they gave her to obscure the fact that they kicked her off the program after season 1.
Yep.
It was a bullshit title that they gave her to satisfy like a fucking like contract requirement. She was very uninvolved with those seasons. And starting in season 4, she had absolutely no input whatsoever. And so I get why people would say like, "Oh, it fell off after Lauren Faust," but like she was in a very nominal capacity in those seasons anyway. All the heavy lifting in those seasons were done by other writers, and that's unfortunate. But also, the thing is that most people will admit that season 1 is the weakest of the seasons that she had any involvement in, and that was when she was most directly involved.
Yep.
Like, I don't want to talk bad about Lauren Faust, but like, the work that she turned in was generally of a lower quality than the work that was completed after she had left like those direct roles.
Season 2 and season 3 are considered by the early fandom, at least, the peak of the early series.
It's the peak of the whole damn show.
Yeah. I
don't think later seasons got to that. Well, they did.
I have been watching.
Later seasons were more hit and miss.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been watching later seasons with my wife, and it's more misses than hits, but the hits are pretty good.
Yeah, that's how I felt about the later seasons too. But yeah, like Lauren Faust's role in season. Sorry,
you're fine.
Ended very early on. Did you receive that credit because she was contractually obligated to receive that credit?
She was contractually obligated.
And then she got stonewalled by the entire industry for like the rest of her fucking life.
I
said it like she's dead. She's not dead.
No, the last thing she majorly worked on was DC Superhero Girls, which she show ran.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, but she was getting stonewalled pretty hard before that came through.
Yeah. It's hard to make it in this industry, especially as a woman.
That's especially when you're... I mean, that's true, but, like, it's insane because like, that's Lauren Faust. Like,
yep.
She worked on Powerpuff Girls, guys. She worked on Foster's, guys. Like, what do you want? Can you
please give her own original cartoon she's been wanting to make for over a decade?
No, nobody gets cartoons like that anymore.
No, work on our previous franchise.
They don't even make that shit anymore. You know? Now you want to make a cartoon, you gotta make, like, some fucking, like, Comedy Central slop.
Yeah.
Some fucking Netflix slop or whatever.
Oh.
Shout out to, like, the last good airing cartoon that I watched, which was, like... I can't even remember, actually.
Oh, no.
It was a while ago.
The last good... Like, I haven't kept up with cartoons in the 2020s. The last major cartoon I watched was fucking Steven Universe and She-Ra, and those ended 5 years ago.
Uh-huh.
Kaiju says Lauren Faust does have an upcoming cartoon. Oh, good for her.
Oh, really? Good for her. Glad to hear it.
Really, really good to hear.
She worked on Fighting's Magic for. I'm sorry. I mean, Fighting Hooves.
She worked on Fighting is Magic and then Them's Fighting Herds.
She didn't actually work on Herds. She didn't actually work on that. She worked on Fighting Herds when Fighting's Magic got shut down.
Yes. Which we'll get to around the 2013 era of the show. We'll touch on that.
We'll touch on that later in the show. But anyway, that's generally the like mindset of this era of the show was a lot of just legitimate embarrassment. I think because like legitimate embarrassment comes with the fact that people were legitimately loved the show. Like if you're watching something ironically, you know,
you kind of hate it, like, but
whatever. Like, you know, when you're watching like some crappy cartoon and it's like whatever, man.
I fell in love with the show when I watched it in 2011.
So did I, and so did a lot of people.
Yep.
And with that kind of genuine investment comes genuine embarrassment.
Yeah.
When you have to try to tell people that you're genuinely invested in a show that looks like this. It's hard.
With my stupid shitty job I had as a 16-year-old, I would just buy horse toys like it's ironic.
I'd tell my parents about it. You know,
like my mom pointed at the Luna plushie I bought when I was younger. Like, where'd you get that? I'm like, oh no, I'm holding it for my friend.
It's wow. It's just how it was like, you know. Also, I want to point out that Grimdark fanfiction.
Yeah.
Started like immediately.
Yep. We'll touch on. We will touch lightly on Cupcakes and Rainbow Factory.
Oh Jesus! I don't really want to do that. Yeah. I'm like looking at like posts from like February 2011, and it's already like I'm just glancing through Grimdark crap, Doctor Who's.
I would like to point out early fanfiction was either posted on 4chan, Google Docs, or Equestria Daily itself.
It was posted directly to Equestria Daily. Yeah, we weren't posting on
fanfiction.net. AO3 wasn't around. FiM fiction wasn't around until like 2013.
No, FiM fiction wasn't around yet because FiM fiction, a lot of like iconic My Little Pony fanfics had to be like ported over to FiM fiction later in life.
Yep.
Like Fallout Equestria did not start its life there.
Yep.
That's where I read it, but it didn't start life there.
Did you know FiM fiction still gets like 1 million hits a day?
Fucking awesome! I'm about to make it 1,000,001.
Hell yeah, I'm writing on there now. Follow me at Squirrel and a Typewriter.
FiM fiction.
Like scrolling.
Wonder if my account still works.
Your account might still work. My old account is still up on there.
Oh boy. I can't believe people are still posting. Wow, it auto-filled my login! Oh, there's no way, dude. Wait, did that work?
Did it work?
It took me to Google for some reason.
Oh, weird.
Oh, it did work.
Oh, no.
I have 175 unread chapters. Oh, no.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, no.
Get back to reading fanfiction, girl.
Oh, no, my, oh, boy, my, what do you fucking mean Allegrezza updated since the last time? Are you kidding?
Oh.
No, I read all of this. Go fuck yourself. No, these are my favorites. Okay, I was like, there's no fucking way. There's no fucking way. I was like, there's no way Past Sin's still updated. That shit ended in 2012.
Oh.
My icon on FimFiction is my old pony OC,
Oh,
which I will not be sharing.
oh, okay.
This is probably the only existing art of this fucking thing.
That's fair.
Hold on. Oh, that's not gonna work.
Did you know my old pony OC was a Draconicus?
What?
Oh.
Yeah, you would do that.
Listen.
Considering that you're not a pony right now.
Yeah, I'm a bug. You'll meet me later in season 2.
Well, not that version of the bug.
Yeah, in season 6 actually.
Oh my god, where the? Oh, here we go. Okay.
Oh.
This might put this on screen.
Okay, sure.
This might be the only existing image left anywhere on the planet of my old pony OC.
Your old pony OC?
Uh-huh.
Alright, give me a moment. I'm moving it around.
I don't even remember who drew this.
There we go. It's cute. I like it.
Yeah, it is. I don't remember what the rest of it. I think it was a Pegasus.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it was a Pegasus. I'm looking through my favorites. A lot of vinyl scratch, a lot of vinyl Octavia stuff.
Good.
Twixie. That's
Twixie. I can't. We're meeting Trixie next episode.
Oh, thank God! And then we won't see her again for a significant amount of time.
We won't see her for 4 whole seasons. No, 2 seasons. 2 seasons. 2
3
seasons.
She's in season 3, right?
Yes, she is in season 3.
Yeah. I get season 3 is when they started changing the course of certain things due to fandom response.
Yeah.
They weren't quite listening to the fandom yet, but they were hearing we want Trixie back. We want whatever.
We
want
want
Trixie back. I don't care about it. It's
yeah.
they were like, oh, these characters are popular. It would be good to bring them back, make toys of them, canonize certain things about them.
And Trixie became a hallmark of the fandom.
And then we got her a girlfriend a couple seasons later.
So excited to talk about that.
Oh boy, that's when the discussion of the show will really heat up, when we start having a regular cast member who's terrorist.
Don't worry about it. Oh, any closing thoughts for episode 1 of Horsin Around?
No, those episodes were fine, except Ticketmaster kind of sucked. But we'll have way more to talk about way more down the line. This is only going to get more dense as time goes on.
Yep.
I think what we should do going forward is we have Equestria Daily's entire archive because
Yes.
Sethesто is a god.
Yes.
I think that we should focus on digging through the archives of posts for the weeks or the month, but probably just the days or weeks of the episodes airing.
Okay.
Because this show aired weekly, I believe.
It did.
Yes, it did. It did air weekly, so we can just pick 3 weeks worth of Equestria Daily posts, just see if we can find anything interesting regarding that.
Okay.
I don't know if we can do that for Derpy Buru or Film Fiction. If we can limit searches to specific periods of time.
I can try. I'll have to look around. What we could do is just type in the name of the episode into Derpy Burrow.
Oh, that might work. Yeah, that'd give us. But yeah, I wanted to get more of a, if possible, to get more of a feel about where the fandom was at that time in terms of not even just episode reactions and stuff, but what fandom was being what fandoming was being prevalent at the time, fan fictions going on and stuff like that. By the way, there are 2.5 million images on Derpy Buru.
Yep. It is
2.5 million.
an insane archival project of the fandom.
Can I go to the very, very last page?
Yes, you can.
Yes, I can.
I've seen it. I've been there. The very first image.
The very first image is a J. Jonah Jameson pony.
The very first
Also-
image of Derpy Burrow is a J. Jonah Jameson pony.
It's Fluttershy art. Image of Rainbow Dash and Spitfire kissing. A lot of Trixie stuff, actually.
Yeah, because like you said, she was insanely popular.
the very first. This probably wasn't the first ever drawn, just the first that was uploaded to this particular platform. But I'm looking at the very first Octavia and vinyl image. It's a very famous one, actually. I feel like I've seen this in lots of fan fiction and stuff. But Octavia is in the finale of season 1, right?
She is.
She's at the Green Galloping Gala.
She is one of the musicians playing there, yes.
All right, because Vinyl Scratch is introduced in that one Rarity episode with Lady Gaga.
Yes. Right.
All right, well, I'm done.
Yep, we're done. Anything happening this week on your end? Oh, wait, yeah.
Yes, we're playing Guilty Gear.
Tune in whenever V makes her schedule, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we're playing it on Tuesday.
Cool, perfect.
And I don't know what else is going on.
Yeah.
After
my last question, do you want to make this like a bi-weekly thing just so it doesn't interrupt your other schedule?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
Bi-weekly would probably be... We'll probably just have to play it by ear for the most part, but bi-weekly I could probably commit to that.
Perfect. Well, I don't have a catchphrase for the podcast yet. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out in later.
All right, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Next time we'll have more awful horse pictures.
Yay!